The daughter of a wealthy man is kidnapped and held for ransom, meticulously planned by two ex-cons. Sound cool? Because I'm here to talk about the disappearance of Alice Creed from 2009. First off, if my intro line sounded generic, as they admittedly almost always do, don't let that deter you. No, not defer. Don't let that deter you because this movie is awesome. And on paper, all of that wouldn't really be my cup of tea at all. I've never really been super into thrillers or like heist movies for the most part, with the exception of films like Heat that are just too damn good for anyone to not like. And this one absolutely is a thriller. It's even been called a neo-noir by some, so I guess do with that what you will, but this is a gem of a film. And the cast here, super simple. 3 characters, 3 actors, and that's it. It made just under 900K in the box office sales on an 800K budget. It's obviously not it wasn't wildly successful by any means. It was shot in several different locations, none of which you will recognize, and you never really know where you are. No cities are stated. Hell, not even a specific country, although it's most likely somewhere in England. And why? Because it's by design. The less you know, the better. Jay Blakeson makes sure that you see precisely what he wants you to see and nothing more or less. This is a very lean script here, as if any amount of unnecessary fat has been cut out, until you are left with an intense, highly intelligent piece of work. So the beginning shows you 2 men, working on some sort of a project. You see them buying stuff at like a hardware store, rope, tools, soundproofing stuff, stuff like that. They also have pistols, and you know that they're up to something dangerous, but you don't know what that is really until you're shown. And I have to mention that there's absolutely no dialogue for the first, maybe close to 10 minutes. And it's awesome, just an incredible intro scene. After they buy everything they need, they drive out to the woods and work on this small, apartment type building. And they're soundproofing it, they're installing locks, and they really seem to know what they're doing. This was fully planned out down to every last detail. And I'm going to try and not spoil anything here because there are huge plot twists in this film, and I want you to, properly experience them. And if you do watch this, please give it your full undivided attention. Turn the lights off, put your damn phone away, and let yourself be immersed in the constant tension that is this film. There are subtle details that you will notice. You have no idea who these 2 guys are or how they even know each other. At least at first. And why? Because Jay Blakeson doesn't want you to. Nothing in this film is unintentional. But if you pay attention to the opening scene, and you should, you'll notice some things about our 2 guys here that will make you kind of wonder about them. Once everything is in place, they're done building this room that they use for the film. And there's just, I was talking about this film being very detailed, and I'll talk more about that, but down to a scene where they're, I guess you could kind of call it like a montage when they're building this, or at least kind of putting these modifications into this little apartment. There's a scene where, they've been working very hard, and then they're just both sitting on the floor, not talking to each other, eating sandwiches, which on paper that might sound like a super pointless scene. Why would you put that in a movie? But it totally makes sense. These guys are professionals, and they're doing a lot of physical work, and they're sitting down to eat food so they can fuel the rest of this heist, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, once everything is in place, they kidnap their target, a young woman named Alice Creed, who she's the daughter of a very wealthy and probably important man. And that's all you really know about him. You don't see him at all. You don't really know who he is other than, like I said, he's rich, and I assume someone fairly important. And the plan actually goes fairly smoothly. They have Alice now, and they escort her to the hideout location while they kind of execute the rest of the negotiation and all that, all the typical things involving a movie like this. So the 2 men are played by Eddie Marsan and Martin Compston. And Alice is played by Gemma Arterton. And I wasn't familiar with any of them, despite, Gemma being she's a very steady working actress. She's got a lot of credits to her name. She was even in one of the Daniel Craig Bond films, I guess. So when you have a movie with only 3 actors, the spotlight is kind of always on you, and a weak performance is easy to spot. There is a lot of room here for inconsistencies or things that could pull you out of the movie, but in my opinion, it never really happens. And the 3 performances here are all very, very good. Alice spends a lot of time tied up and gagged, so she has to act with her body and facial expressions a lot of the time. And she is just great regardless. Our 2 kidnappers are also, I'd say, also great, particularly Vic, who is very intimidating. And while he is cold and calculated, he gives off the impression that if he were to snap, it would be ugly, to say the least. I think you get my point here. The movie is intense 100% of the time, and it never relents. In fact, it only escalates, and by the time it's over, like, your stomach is in knots. At least mine was. It's not a mean-spirited film, really, but it's also not a pleasant or easy watch. And while I put this firmly in the thriller category, it has like an almost horror vibe at times, in ways that I can't really explain. I mean, actually get like New French Extremity vibes here. Like this maybe could have been directed by someone like Alexander Aja. The grittiness, the ending scene, I think it's there. I really don't have a lot to criticize here. This is a masterclass on how to make a great film on a low budget. I mean, nothing was wasted here. My girlfriend, who has a very keen eye for things, in films especially, she thought that there were maybe too many twists at the end, and I could see where she was coming from. I wouldn't have included that otherwise. You know, she also thought that the movie was almost too scary for her, since she's not really a horror fan. Like, one of her favorite films is Escape Room by David Fincher, and that's kind of why I showed this one to her. But I highly recommend this to all of you. It's a near masterpiece that is painstakingly clever, even down to the title, which has a super cool dual meaning. If you are a thriller fan, this film is a love letter to the genre and then some. And as I said, it's just dark enough for the horror fans. And this film met almost entirely favorable reviews upon release, and it's got an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, with around 100 views, or 100 reviews, at least last time I checked. And I haven't seen them, but it's got not just one, but 2 remakes. It's got a German one and a Dutch one, which is kind of intriguing. And as far as I know, there is only the original 2010 DVD release, so I think that it would be great if someone like, I don't know, Arrow Video gave it the treatment that it deserves. It's maybe not original enough to become a cult classic, but the quality is definitely there. I'm giving The Disappearance of Alice Creed a solid 8 out of 10. Check it out. Cheers, guys.